So let's start and go to our command prompt. We're going to type ipconfig space /all. There it's going to give us our IP address, our subnet mask, our DNS server, our gateway server. We're going to want to put this into our network adapter so that it becomes static. To do that, we're going to press start and then settings, network and internet, Ethernet, change adapter settings. Change adapter settings, right click on our network adapter and properties. In there you're going to look for the TCP IVP4 and you'll see all of your IP information. You're going to want to fill in the IP address, the subnet mask, the default gateway, the preferred DNS server with all the information we have in our command window. Once you do this, go ahead and tell it OK, close all the other windows out, and it's saved. Then we have a static IP. Alright, once those are closed, we're going to go into our file explorer and we're going to the root of C and we're going to create a directory there, folder, and we're going to call it dead server. Now you can name it anything you like. Inside dead server, we're going to create a couple of other directories or folders, one of them being SteamCMD and the other is going to be our 7 Days to Die server directory, and I just abbreviated as 7 Days to Die. Now we're going to go to the link in the description and we're going to download the SteamCMD executable. And the pages that we're using are great guides to use. We're going to extract the zip file that it downloaded, and then we're going to copy the SteamCMD.exe out of that folder and put it in the SteamCMD folder we created in our dead server. Now next, what we're going to want to do is we want the path to our 7 Days to Die folder. So we're just going to highlight that and copy it and paste it in Notepad so that we can reference it in a second. Now we're going to go back into our SteamCMD directory and we're going to run the SteamCMD command. It leaves you at a Steam prompt. Here we're going to log in anonymously. We're going to reference back to the page we were just on, and you'll see the commands there in order to log into Steam. So the command is login anonymous, and we're going to give it the force install path, which is going to be our 7 Days to Die path that we copied, and press enter and get the Steam ID for 7 Days to Die. Again, both of these pages I would recommend bookmarking, and so in there you'll see the commands that we're trying to run as well. Get the app ID for 7 Days to Die, and we'll copy that into our command window, and it starts running. Now this one does take a long time to do. We're going to get into our firewall and we're going to do port forwarding. Alright, once we're logged into our router, we're going to look for firewall. And we're going to look for our firewall settings, and you'll see under my firewall, look for port forwarding. I want to make a quick comparison here. You'll see it says device. Look at the top of the menu here. It says select a device. That will always be either the name or the IP address of our server. You can manually add the IP address if it's not listed there. Now, public IP address you do not have to worry about. Select application is the next drop down, and you see I have it set to custom. And if you look down in my rule that I already have created, you'll see it says service. Well, service and application are synonymous with each other. So I want to do a TCP port, and you'll see I use 38080. So if I was to manage this outside of my home network, I would try to connect on my public IP address with that port. In the description I have all these ports and settings. If you do not plan to manage your server outside of your network, you do not need to put in the 8080 or where I have 38080. You do not need to put that rule in there. Now, the first rule I had in here was our TCP UDP port. That one you do have to have if you want friends from outside your network to be able to log into your server and play with you. You will have to give them your public IP address. The other UDP ports are needed for the game to communicate on the network. So the only one that you don't have to have is the external management port, because I don't manage it outside my network. So we've added our last rule. If you look in the description, that's everything that we need to run and manage this service. So we're going to send startdedicated.bat to our desktop. So let's change the name, and then we'll change the icon. So next, we're going to open up the developer page and our serverconfig.xml file, and we're going to set them side by side. So we're going to edit that in Notepad++, and I've put a link to Note++ download in the description. On the developer page, all of the server settings are explained. The sections may not match up identical, but it's all there. So if you look through, change settings that you want, there are some things to note. You do have to give it a server name, and it can be whatever you want because it's just a text field. You do have to set a server password. That is a requirement. You'll see our ports here for external connection so our friends can play with us, and there is a range of ports we can use because if you have multiple games you may want to change the ports for each game. Also, you'll see that the other port, our 8080 port, there it is, it's already built into the server, so internally you don't need to put that firewall rule in for external management. You can internally manage it natively. Oh, speed. I do maximize the speed, and this explains, hey, it's only going to go this fast, so I put that at the maximum just because it helps prevent lag and seems to operate better. The default is 512, but let's see what else. Navis game for our game world. That will change when we start loading mods and other maps. This is a pretty detailed setup. So here's the important thing. Game name. You cannot use spaces or special characters in your game name. You can use dashes and underscores. If you name it something with spaces, it will not load the game and you will not understand why without having to search in the logs for invalid game name error. I think that's about it of the important stuff. You can read through all of this and get it all. There's a whole bunch of stuff, how hard you want the game, how easy you want the game, all of those things can be set here. We're going to start our server that we've worked so hard to configure. We're going to click our icon, it gives us a little command window and says we can press any key to continue. Then it takes a few seconds, it's going to give us another window, and we're going to verify with Task Manager that everything is running. So there's our command window, let's check Task Manager, and then we see that it's running. Sometimes, depending on your machine, it may take several seconds for this process to start. But once it starts, and we get past here, it's loading, deciding what graphics it's going to load. Once it gets past this part, we're going to go back onto our desktop machine, and we're going to check our server from there. On our local machine, we are going to go to the IP address of our dedicated server with a :8080, because remember in our server config, that's what we told it our management port was. And again, this is internally, not externally. So we're going to log in here with our proper password. I thought I said proper password. Right. So once we log in, you'll see that it gives us a command window similar to the one that's running on the server. This is a very down and dirty control panel. There's 100 of them on the internet you can find if you want to try using a different one. And this just simply gives us the option to shut down the server once we've finished playing or all our friends have logged out. Alright, from here we're going to go ahead and start our game as normal. We're going to join a game. We're going to select the LAN game option, select our server, connect to the server, put in our server password, and we are off killing zombies.